Okay, I'm only making this a small video because the two, and I have to do scripts for these other two videos I'm creating. Is because I said I would drop Rwby at the end of Volume 7, and I'm about 60-70% still on that. The only reason there's like a 40-30% aspect that I will watch Volume 8 is two reasons. There's an amino from my online friends, and we've recently discovered that video chatting and shit on it. We actually watched the latest episode together, and when we watched it together, it was just more fun, mainly because we were just like shitting on the show altogether. We had heaps of fun with it. That was one thing. Two, the one thing I was really hoping for out of Volume 7 didn't happen in Volume 7 and is being set up as the plot of Volume 8. And that is, I tried to predict what the fall of Atlas and the big battle would be. I put a few expectations out there. I was like, are we going to see paladins similar to the Matrix Revolutions in the Battle of Zion, where it's infantry and the paladins fighting back? Or if you've the other video was if you've seen Stargate Atlantis when they defend Atlantis from the Wraith attack, they get back up from Earth. They arm the city to the teeth with guns, troops, and everything. They use whatever technology they have at their disposal. I was waiting for something like this in Volume 7, and I never got it. Instead, the cliffhanger is, hey, Salem shows up, finally. And I'm like, that's what I wanted to see. It's like, I've endured Volume 7 for no goddamn reason, and the one thing I was actually looking forward to is next volume. So throwing that out the window, there is a hint that I could watch Volume 8, but it's only if it's with a select group of friends, so that it's actually enjoyable. And God help if they fuck up the Salem versus the Elysian fight. If they fuck that up, if that's a disappointment, because let me be frank, this is war at this point, and I'll get into the war topic in a second. War, you cannot have short animated fight scenes. War, you cannot have one episode of fighting, one episode of chilling, one episode of politics, one episode of fighting. No, you got to realize that once this battle starts, you're in for the long haul. And with Salem right outside the city, I'm roughly looking at Volume 8 has to be just one constant battle, because everything that I think Volume 7's lacking at the moment, and I'll get into that, has to be in Volume 8. Volume 8 has to take the negatives of Volume 7 and properly do that in Volume 8. The two videos that I'm working on are the 10 big fuck-ups of Volume 7, which I roughly got 8 out of 10 properly listed. Look, freaking like script writing, getting all the points down. I've talked to one of my friends about a lot of the points, and I can go into detail with them so I can justify them. I'm also doing the top 10 things I actually liked about Volume 7, and to be honest, if I'm giving off any hints, number one is just Ironwood in general. Big win for the season. I have to give credit that they wrote Ironwood really well, and Oscar finally got development, and he stayed consistent throughout the whole volume. His role worked really well. If he had been the one to lie to Ironwood instead of Rwby, it would fix just a lot more issues, in my opinion. And I'll go into that in the two future videos that I do for each side of the argument of the positives and the negatives. But I was talking to my friend Pro, and he's just like, are you going to do your episode review for 13? and I was put off by doing one for the sole reason that when I've been on my Amino with our friends, we've talked about everything. Like, it feels like we're starting to repeat a lot of the stuff um, that we have on 13 review wise. But what invigorated me recently is I want to do a video on the top 10 female characters in the forms of anime, books, and what's the last, gaming of the last decade that influenced me. And I already got ones like Chisei from Ancient Magus Bride. I got a few book characters over there that I'd rather wait to the video for that, and Sarah Kerrigan from StarCraft game, StarCraft 2. Like, I can give credit where credit's due, but I'm just like, we're on the topic of war. And this is what's divided the Rwby fandom at this point, with the whole volume, but pretty much by the end of episode 12, 13 with Ironwood, it divided the fandom. And at first, it looks like there's two sides to the fandom. There's the ones that have sided with Ironwood, and these are probably older people in the fan base. I won't say make that assumption. I think younger people can get the greater good concept as well, where you got to make sacrifices. Either that, or it could just be other anime fans that are watching Rwby who have watched anime, that I'm trying to make the point with this, that have very big wars in them or are war themed, and most main characters in war themed anime, or even side characters in them, losses, sacrifices, discipline, punishment, all the things that come up in war that makes war really grounded. It is something that we, based on real life, with wars in real life, we can relate to. The real aspect of war in a show that has to be executed properly. So people on Team Ironwood side, such as myself, we just get that type of character. In this instance, Ironwood's like, we do my plan, half of the population of this continent is going to survive, and Salem can never complete her plan. It's also a sacrifice for the people of Atlas, because and their generations afterwards, because they're going to be trapped on that island forever. There's no coming back down to mix with any other humans who have survived. There's that thought as well. But effectively, 50% of the population is going to be sacrificed, being that of the citizens of Mantle. And my problem is, you got to look at the pros and the cons. The con of Team Rwby's argument is, the fact is, it looks like if what we predict does happen, if Atlas falls, which it should, in this instance, it should fall, there is no... I don't understand how people can survive this. Because the first thing that's going to go down in this huge battle, the battle cruisers have to be taken down one at a time. Eventually there's going to be either just one or two of them left, if lucky, standing, the last one standing, and it's going to be used as an evacuation point, get out of the bloody place. But the point is, if Atlas falls, insinuating that the relic even gets removed by anybody, whether it's Team Rwby removes the relic, whether Salem removes the relic from where it is, the flying city, it isn't going to float sideways down. It's going to fall straight down. And it's hovering over what you could argue is 50 to 70% of Mantle. It hovers over. So the people of Atlas, when this city does fall, the rich people up in Atlas, they're dead. The Academy, dead. People in Mantle, they're not going to be able to get away from the city because there's Grim everywhere. City falls on them, Mantle's dead. The con for supporting Team Rwby in this optimistic, ignorant view is that if Salem wins, or if the relic just gets removed, all of Atlas and Mantle's population dies. There is no saving 50%. There is no saving the people. It's complete genocide of one nation. And at that point, I'm just like, Rwby, it's your fault. It's your fault. At this point in time, by the time Volume 7 ends, you have taken the Maiden, right? And this is a choice that has to get made. If it was an Ironwood type character on the ship with them flying away, or like just scooting around, regrouping or whatever, just say Ren's type character. Ren at one point made it look like he was going to side with Ironwood. From that perspective, your logic would deduce, get Penny, who is now the Winter Maiden, who can unlock the relic, get her to the opposite side of the world. Get her as far away from Atlas as possible, because she's the key to opening the vault. That's the self-sacrifice mentality for the greater good. Get the Maiden as far away from here as possible. The relic cannot be taken out. Atlas doesn't fall. And then the military's left to fight, because that's what the military's made for. Using the Rwby mentality of what's going on, we got the Maiden. We're going back to save Mantle, because they said, oh, we're going to save Mantle, we're going to save Atlas, we've got to save everybody. And they're going to take Penny back, putting her in harm's way, meaning that Salem can get to her and use her to open the friggin' vault. The fact that she's a robot, she's not a real girl, no matter if she has the Maiden power, she's not a real girl. And the fact that Watts is still alive, if he hacks Penny while she's the Maiden and uses her to access the door to get the relic, it's just like, it's stupid. In trying to save everyone, you're acting stupid from a strategic point of view. That's why people side with Ironwood. From a strategic point of view, he's making the right call in the greater good philosophy. Trying to save everyone is never a good strategy, because it's unrealistic. And I know if you're saying, oh, it's fake, it's fantasy. The problem is taking fake fantasy and getting a war arc and trying to use fantasy as an excuse is never a good way to execute a war arc. A war arc is the time when people should die, when losses are taken. It's just what war is. The more and more fantasy you make it, the more and more people are surviving. You're on your way to making a fairy tale war arc. And the fairy tale war arc is a pile of shit, because literally no one fucking dies. It's a pathetic piece of garbage. So just highlighting that point of view, that's just something. On episode 13, the other things I would want to bring up is, and these fit into the top 10 worst things, it's underused abilities and strategy. I don't understand with Team Juniper. They're running away and Oscar's behind them, and Oscar gets separated from him because he's struggling to keep up with him. But when we cut to Team Junior, Ren, Nora, and Jean, they're split up from each other. How the hell did they lose each other? Or if you can make the argument they're looking for Oscar, so they split up, why would you split up when you know your enemy can become anyone she pleases? That's it. Juniper is stupid, and Neo, she's got the Adam Taurus treatment where she's a fucking idiot now. She's been nerfed to shit. I liked nothing to do with that scene. Nothing to do with Junior, or Team Orange, whatever you want to call them. It's all shit. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go into the animation or the music or anything. It's shit. The choreograph, everything's shit. And this leads over to the Winter, Penny, and Cinder shit. This is garbage. I don't care what people say. I have a very good reason for this. It's one of my things here. It's underused abilities. If you're gonna do a fight scene, you have to acknowledge all the abilities that the characters bring to the table because they're fighting for their fucking life. So characters that are fighting for their life will utilize all the abilities they have at the ready in order to fight for their life. The only thing we see Winter do is summon. And no offense, her summons are shit. She's garbage. Fucking, I'm flying on the back of this, blah blah blah. Oh, the doves. Like, who the fuck is gonna use the little tiny birds? They don't even do anything. They don't attack the person they're directed at. Like, shit. It's shit. But for Winter alone, let me click off the things that are pissing me off. She doesn't use her glyphs. Elemental glyphs. All the different elements that we've seen. Anything from fire to ice to gravity. Nothing gets fucking used. On the terms of this also, I would like to point out they're in Atlas. They're working for Atlas. All the characters in Atlas. Even the Aesops don't carry dust on them. No one uses dust. Dust is supposed to be this big thing, amplifies everything. Not the Aesops don't use it. Winter doesn't fucking use it. No one uses dust in this show except for fucking Weiss. And I'm like, this is some stupid shit. And time dilation. Hey, people, call it out to Miles. Congratulations. The last time I think you haven't used time dilation effectively in a fucking battle for so long, it shouldn't even be a power of the Schnees anymore. The ability to speed up yourself and allies and the ability to slow down enemies is so overpowered, you don't know how to fucking use it, so you just pretend that you forget, and that's how it gets cast off. And the last thing with Winter is she is the experienced version of Weiss. Not to mention, she's also second in charge of the military in Atlas. She's the second highest ranking military official that we know of in Atlas, a special operative Schnee. She's right hand to Ironwood. In this instance, military usage also becomes a skill of Weiss Schnee. At any time during the battle that Cinder's not focused on Winter, just say she goes after Penny, it's so simple for her to click her radio, because by now, all of Atlas, Mantle, they know of Salem. There's no point in hiding the Maiden's secret anymore. The secret's out. You're trying to be truthful. Get on the radio. This is Special Operative Schnee. I need backup at this location immediately. Just have 2 or 3 fighter planes come in, and while they're airborne and, with Cinder and everything, have the ships fire the rockets on Cinder, and even if Cinder just blows the shit out of the ships while she's even if she destroys the ships easily, I have no problem with that. The point is, it shows that Winter's using military tactics as well. It's the use of abilities. When you got a fight scene, and the only thing Winter doesn't even use her dual blades. I would like to point that out. She doesn't even use her weapon's alternate mode in this battle. And I was just like, Winter's garbage. Fighting-wise, she's garbage. She was more skilled back when she showed up to fight Crow than she is now. And you can't make the argument. This is what I want to make the point. You can't make the argument that she's up against the Maiden, that's why it's harder. Because Cinder is the shittest fucking Maiden, I think. With this, I'm not going to count the Winter Maiden at this point. If we're going against Amber, Amber actually had the brain to use multiple elements. Summoning the thunderstorm, using lightning, all that. It's showing that the Maidens can use any elemental abilities. I would make the argument that Cinder used her Maiden powers better back in the Maiden vs. Maiden battle against Raven. Raven uses her Maiden powers really well. This fight, It's just fireball, fireball, fireball. And the issue with the maidens is now we've seen the maidens fly 3 different ways. They can just hover in the fucking air, which is flying in itself because they're just in the air. Like when they summon the swords in the Maiden vs. Maiden battle, they're just hovering in the fucking air. In this, they hover in the air. So hovering off the ground to certain different heights is possible, so they can fly that way. They can fly. We've seen Cinder in Maiden vs. Maiden. She's shooting fire just out of her hands, and she's using that to propel herself up. That's a way to fly. And now she shoots fire out of her fucking legs. So it's like there's 3 different ways to fly, and she doesn't utilize all the capabilities. Why doesn't Winter summon? Why doesn't Cinder summon fire tornado, or a wind tornado, or an ice tornado? Why doesn't she terraform the environment by summoning clouds over that strike lightning down at the people? We don't see any of that. This fight isn't even a fight. It's just stupidity in itself. The ending is just so bad. And it's weird because I'm willing to give credit to the previous episode with the Aesop's fight. I'm not happy with the outcome of that fight. But at least the choreograph of that fight worked to what it was trying to accomplish. And it remembered you can make the argument with Marrow, he's a dumb cunt because he didn't stop the fight at the beginning, but the point is, episode 13's fighting is utterly stupid, fucking ridiculous. It's a horrible end. And as it is, it's just a build-up to what I wanted to see, which was the actual battle. And if you want my opinion, the moment he shot Oscar, I'll go into this before I finish the video. I'm sorry, this ended up being a long one. Everyone knows, and my friends know, I laughed my fucking ass off. I actually predicted it. When they were having the conversation, I typed to one of my friends, I'm like, shoot the bastard, shoot Oscar. I meant it as a joke, and then he actually did it. And we had to pause the video because we were all just laughing our asses off. He's like, he actually did it. He actually killed the cunt. I was laughing so hard. The team Ironwood, that's just how fucked we were in the end. But just thinking of the stuff that happens, the stuff with Ironwood and that, it was just that's my views. It was like, I'm trying to think of, is there anything I've missed in that episode? Oh no, Thingy shows up, they pick him up, they go off, he comes down. I will say, like, I get what they're going for with Winter and Weiss. It's like she loves her sister, but she's loyal to Ironwood. I can understand her letting Rwby, Weiss go. Like, go, get away, I'll come after you later. I see her letting Penny go with them as betraying Ironwood. And people can make the argument, oh, she can't exactly stop Penny. But I'm just like, I really thought that Penny actually, if Penny is on the Team Rwby mentality of still we have to save everyone, I just think that's stupid. We don't need, how many characters in this show do we need to have that mentality? 8 to 10 characters of going, we can save everybody. It's actually refreshing that we have a few characters. And if Penny, here's my problem with Penny before I end the video. I said this to my friend Pro as we were talking one-on-one. I said, when the fandom's making the excuse that the fables that they're based on are the character development for the characters. And I said, no. It's alright to have inspiration from the fables, but genuinely, if I'm watching Penny as a character, every now and then, oh, that's a nod to the fable, that's a nod to the fable, but she's still Penny. She's remnant Penny. What we got now is, I don't see Penny anymore when I watch the show, because nearly everything to do with Penny's character development is dot to dot taken from the fable. She's literally more Pinocchio now than she is Penny. I don't like, to me, who is Penny? What's unique about Penny that doesn't come from the fable? What's original that they've written for her character? And the answer is nothing. And if you want a prediction on this video, because I did a refresh course on Pinocchio, I actually wanted to know, not the Disney tale, I wanted to go into the actual lore of Pinocchio and everything that happened. Based on what's happening for Volume 8, this is a guaranteed prediction. I know it will happen, and it will prove that they rely too much on the fable rather than creating Penny actual character development. Is that, what's his name, Pietro, will get swallowed by Salem's big whale, and Penny will go inside the whale with her maiden powers, whatever. She'll get in there, and she will bring him out of the friggin' whale. She'll save his ass from the fucking whale. Because that's what happens in Pinocchio, is that there's a giant shark that swallows Geppetto, and Pinocchio goes into the shark to recover Geppetto. That's gonna happen, because nothing about this character is original. It's an utterly boring fucking... It's Pinocchio. Pinocchio with lasers and elemental powers, because why not? You're just taking things you created in the world and inserting them into Pinocchio. And I don't like that. Because there's no Penny. There's actually no part of her story that's original. So in terms of what I thought of the finale, it's shit. It's actual garbage. I think every part of it is poorly executed. There are a few good ideas here and there, but as is the case with all of Rwby, from season 1 all the way up to season 7, the only consistency with the show is that it's a steaming pile of shit, but it's an entertaining steaming pile of shit with good ideas that are poorly executed. That's the only thing this show has to say for consistency. And that's it. It's not a good show. It's an entertaining show, but it's a shit show. That's Rwby's legacy.